Welcome to the University of Michigan Intramural Sports Winter 2 online captains meeting. In this video, you will learn about many of the intramural sports policies and procedures, as well as a few specific sport rules to help you complete the captain's quizzes. To start, we would like to introduce our intramural sports staff. Up first is our Senior Assistant Director, Cheryl Gendrico Wright. Next up is our Assistant Directors, Nick DeMarchi and AJ Haddock. And finally, we have our student coordinators, Brandon Barlog, John Brown, and Chad Zimmerman.
To get things started, we want to talk about the most important part of intramural sports, sportsmanship. Good sportsmanship benefits everyone, and one person exhibiting bad sportsmanship can make an otherwise fun experience much less enjoyable. In order to maintain the proper playing environment, the sportsmanship rating policy has been established. Each contest will be rated by the officials. Teams will begin the game or event with 10 sportsmanship points. During the course of the contest, teams may lose points if their behavior deteriorates. Point deductions have been broken down into the following 3 levels. Level 1 is a 1-point deduction and is the least severe. This includes things such as verbal warnings and administrative penalties. Level 2 is a 3-point deduction. This includes things such as certain in-game penalties along with spectator penalties. Level 3 is a 7-point deduction and is the most severe. This level includes things such as flagrant ejections and alcohol consumption. There are also certain sport-specific deductions for each level that can be viewed here. There is a zero-tolerance policy in regards to alcohol. It is not allowed at any of the facilities, nor should it be used prior or during any intramural events. Anyone suspected of consuming alcohol prior to their event will be ejected and their game will be forfeited. Along with that, we have a zero-tolerance policy regarding verbal or physical abuse towards officials, supervisors, and other participants. We are here to promote sportsmanship, and no abuse will be tolerated.
For our Winter 2 season, men's and co-recreational leagues will be available. In all of our men's leagues, female participation is allowed. It is important to note that in all of our co-rec leagues, there are a certain number of males and females that are needed to participate at the same time. If you are not sure that you will always going to have the necessary number of males and females, we would suggest you to play in the men's league. In order to participate in intramural sports, you must adhere to at least one of the following. You can be a currently enrolled student, or you can purchase a valid rec sports membership. If you have any questions regarding memberships, please visit our website at recsports.umich.edu/members. Any of those eligible participants may play on one co-rec team and one non-co-rec team per sport. Current intercollegiate athletes are not allowed to compete on an intramural team in their sport or related sport. So a current football player cannot play a flag football team, but they can participate in our basketball leagues. Additionally, teams are only allowed to have one current club athlete and one ex-varsity athlete on an intramural team in their sport or related sport. So, the club softball team cannot create a softball team, but they can create a soccer team. When you arrive to your game, you should present your M card to the official on your court or field who is checking players in. If someone on your team misuses an M card, your team will not be eligible to play in the playoffs. Remember, it is up to you, the captain, to make sure everyone on your team checks in with the officials. All players that are going to participate in the game must have their M card checked in by the game official. Additionally, players must be on the roster in order to play in the game.
To get on the roster, players must join their team on our new scheduling website, imleagues.com. All players must join the team on the website before they can participate in any games. Now are some important notes about the rosters. As the captain of your team, you will need to make sure these things are taken care of by 12 p.m. noon, the day of your game. Once again, these need to be done by noon. First, make sure your roster is set on the IM League's website. To do this, you need to make sure that all of your players have individually created profiles and registered for your team. If someone is not added to the roster by noon the day of your game or by noon Friday for a Sunday game, that person will not appear on the game day roster and will not be allowed to play in the game that night. It is important to note that players must have participated in at least one regular season game to be eligible to play during the playoffs. As the captain, it is your responsibility that each player is on your roster by noon, as well as your responsibility to check that each player has signed in for every game. If you need more players for your team, you can use the free agent board that is located on the IM League's website.
If during your game you feel that the rules in the game have been unfairly administered, your team may protest that particular event, provided the team protest procedure adheres to the following guidelines. It is important to note that all protests must be made by the team captain only. A rules interpretation protest occurs based on a misinterpretation of the rules by the official and must be made to an official at the time of the alleged misinterpretation occurs and prior to the next live ball. An administrative interpretation protest occurs based on misinterpretation of the intramural sports policies and procedures and must be made before the end of the game. An eligibility protest involves a player's eligibility in a contest in which the protesting team participated in and must be made before the next live ball. You will then see the supervisor on site and receive a protest form. These protest forms must be submitted with a $20 down payment to the Intramural Sports Building main office by 4:30 p.m. the next business day following your game.
Inclement weather happens and there is nothing that we can do about it. If it does happen, decisions will be made posted on our Facebook and Twitter pages, or you can call the Intramural hotline at 734-763-0050. Forfeit should be avoided at all costs. Not only does it affect your team, it affects the teams you should have been playing. A forfeit happens when a team does not have enough players to play in the game. If this happens, the opposing team will have the option to take the win or to wait 10 minutes to see if the other team will arrive. If the team still doesn't arrive after 10 minutes, it will be a forfeit. If your team forfeits, it will result in a loss for the game and you will lose 7 SRS points. This year, we are trying out a new policy. In order to cut down on forfeits, if you know your team will not be able to make it to your game, we will now be offering the opportunity to default a game. You will have the opportunity to email us at intramurals@umich.edu with your team name, the league your team is in, and the time and date of the game you won't be able to attend by noon the day of your game. Doing this will give our office a greater chance to fill this game, and because of this, your team will lose only 3 SRS points instead of the 7 you would lose for a forfeit. However, your team will only be able to default or forfeit 1 game per season.
Now on to the biggest question. Is your team going to make the intramural playoffs? The quick answer is every team has a chance to make the playoffs. However, there are certain occurrences that will keep a team from making it. One of these is if a player on your team improperly uses an M card. Or if your team did not complete the Intramural Sports captain's quizzes. Additionally, you cannot have defaulted or forfeited more than 1 game. And at the base of the pyramid, your team must finish the regular season with at least 31 SRS points. In the playoffs, teams must maintain 7 or more SRS points or the game will be forfeited. At the University of Michigan, we have 2 separate playoff brackets. If your team's winning percentage is 50% or better, you will make the A-level or championship playoffs. If your team's winning percentage is less than 50%, then you will make the B-level or consolation playoffs. You can mark your calendars now for our playoff instant scheduling will take place on Monday, April 8th and Tuesday, April 9th for the Winter 2 season. If you need help signing up for that, please visit recsports.umich.edu/intramurals for online help videos. Now to explain a Cliff Notes version of our Winter 2 sports rules. First up is our volleyball men's and women's and co-rec leagues. All games will be played at the Intramural Sports Building main gym. Net placement will be different for women's leagues than they are for men's and co-rec leagues, with the net being placed at 7 feet 4 1/4 inches for women's and 8 feet for men's and co-rec. Teams will be made up of 6 players, needing 3 to start and continue a match. Matches will consist of 3 games, all played via rally scoring. The first 2 games will be played to 25 with a cap of 30. The final game will be played to 15 points with a cap of 20. Teams must win by 2. Contacting the net or any part of the net is prohibited. Setting the ball over the net is legal on any hit. There will be a game official on each court to enforce game rules. Serves must rotate amongst team members, but there is no rotation requirement for the remaining 5 players on the court. As for our co-rec modifications, many of the rules remain unchanged. All rallies, no matter of male or female hits, will be awarded 1 point. 6 players are on the court, with a minimum of at least 1 female and 1 male. Again, the difference between the two cannot be greater than 1. For example, a team may have 3 males and 2 females, but not 4 males and 2 females. Finally, 2 men cannot occupy adjacent position on the floor. Always a popular sport among Michigan students, we are offering our co-rec broomball season. All games will be played at Yost Ice Arena. All game equipment except for shoes will be provided, and all players must wear a helmet with full face mask. The game is played by 2 teams consisting of 5 players each, with a minimum of 3 players to start and continue a game. All substitutions can be made on the fly, and each game will be administered with 1 or 2 officials. Please remember that physical or verbal abuse directed towards officials will not be tolerated. All games consist of 2 15-minute periods. There are minor and major penalties that the officials will administer to keep play fair and under control. A reminder, if you drink the booze, you lose in intramural sports. Since this season is our co-rec season, please be sure that your team can field a roster with at least 2 females and 2 males. With 5 players on the ice at one time, 3 of them can be male or female. Again, the difference can be no greater than 1. In co-rec B only, female goals are worth 2 points.
Next is our men's and women's single-sex indoor soccer divisions. All games will be played at the Sports Coliseum located on Hill Street across from Elbel Field. Games will consist of 2 22-minute halves. Indoor soccer is 4-on-4, including 1 goalie. Teams must have 3 players to start and finish games. Subs can be made on the fly. Games are played on a court similar to that of a basketball court, and goals cannot be scored within the designated goal area. Please show respect towards our student officials, as there are several rule changes to indoor soccer this season. New this year, we will no longer have throw-ins. All restarts will be conducted with a kick, whether that is a kick-in or a corner kick. Please read over our online rules to get better clarification before your first match. Finally, let's go over some of our main dodgeball rules. All games will be played at the Intramural Sports building, just like volleyball. Teams consist of 6 players, with 3 needed to start and continue a match. Substitutions cannot be made on the fly. Matches are the best of 5 games, with the first team to win 3 games declared the winner. Each of the 5 games will have a 7-minute time limit. If after 7 minutes the game is not over, the team with more players will be declared a winner. If both teams have an equal number of players, sudden death overtime will be played. The next team to lose a player will lose that game. Games will be played on courts using the basketball lines. During the opening rush, each team must send at least 1 player to retrieve a ball. Our co-rec modifications for dodgeball are in line with the rest of our sports. Teams will consist of 6 players with at least 2 males and 2 females needed to start and continue a game. There are no differences with outs or catches between males and females.
Stay connected with us through our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages, or check out our offerings at our Rec Sports website. If you have any questions regarding what you saw in this video, please don't hesitate to contact us at intramurals@umich.edu. To complete your requirements, you need to complete the Captain's Quiz along with the sport-specific quiz. You can click on the links below. Captain's quizzes are due for the full 10 SRS points by the first day of games at noon on Sunday, March 17th. Any quizzes turned in after that time will result in just 1 SRS point, but your team will maintain its playoff eligibility barring any further negative SRS deductions. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Go Blue.